Hello everyone, my name is Corazar, and welcome back to the Vintage Story Guide. We are back in the world in our new home in the south, and it is noisy here, and we have a lot to do today, so we just sort of get started. And that means I need to empty some of these baskets, because I want to take one of these with us on a bit of an exploratory slash resource gathering mission in two parts. There are two main areas, two main biome types that have resources that we want, and today we're going to get into the weeds of everything that we can get from those that we want for our home here. Now, we have already discussed some of them, in that we found many of them as we were traveling down here in the first place, but today's going to be a more in-depth discussion of them, as well as actually... Hello? Are you dead? Oh, you're dead. Good. As well as actually acquiring some of these, in particular, the wood types. Today we are going to be bringing home at least one of each type of wood, and taking a look at what it looks like when it is cut down into... Food, I need food. When it is cut down into planks, and then that will sort of inform how we move forward when we start building our home. The not this cave home with growly boys everywhere. Alright, now I have some semblance of food. We hopefully won't starve. And let's go, and I think the first place we can check out, because it's so close, is the jungle right over there. And that is the jungle that I very nearly settled in earlier. Oh, one of the several that I almost settled in, but this one had the mountains that I wasn't quite pleased with. But before we even get there, we have this sort of lesser sub-jungle here, and we should talk about these fern trees, because I don't want to go around chopping down the fern trees in the jungle over there. And the reason is that when you chop them, this one wasn't too close to his buddy, but when you chop them, oftentimes if they are 1 block away, or even sometimes 2, what'll happen is they will sort of cascade, and you'll get a whole bunch of these breaking all at once. So I wanted to just show you that you do get firewood from these guys, and nothing but firewood. You will never get seeds, and these unfortunately cannot be replanted. So once you chop them down, they're gone. And for that reason, we will not be having any of these in our little cultivated jungle over here, because we won't be able to get any. I'm just going to stack these here for now. If we ever come back that way again to grab them, we can bring them home, but I'm not too worried about them. Let's cross this lagoon here, whatever this is, and check out the jungle. Ooh. We're going to check out some rifts too, apparently. Apocalyptic. Great. Thanks, guys. So, while we are surrounded by all manner of rifts, let's take a look at what we have in the jungle. Now, we had previously come across several, actually many, kapok trees, and we've already seen purple heart trees, and you can see their very purple heartwood there. Let's go ahead and we're going to take down a couple of these after I grab maybe a few more sticks, because we have 12 ladders. You know what? We'll just do what we can while that thing blurms and flirps at us. And I guess we'll come from maybe this side. Hey, got us there. So I'm going to go ahead and start chopping down the leaves in this kapok tree, and we'll see if we get any seeds. But I am interested today in not just the logs, but also any seeds and any sticks we can get, because we are... we're close to out on sticks. In fact, I might just go ahead and make a few more ladders. Hey, we got one. There we go. That was quick. Now, kapoks are pretty generous with their seeds, and so even a tree as barren as this one is, I mean, this is like no leaves whatsoever, but we already got a seed from this leaf. Now, you'll see here that this purple heart tree is growing into this one, and these sort of somewhat yellowier leaves are the purple heart's leaves. And the reason why I'm taking the kapok down first is so that we can get into the purple heart and work our way from the outside in. Because purple hearts, unlike the kapoks, are very stingy with their seed drops. And it is likely that from this giant purple heart tree, we might only get 1 or 2 seeds if we're very lucky. I think I may have just seen one pop. I'm not positive. But I'll go down there in just a moment and we'll scour the ground and see if we got any purple heart seeds. And it is very important for these trees that you do always work from the outside in. Because if you work from the inside out, you will likely end up losing potential branches that could have spawned seeds. And we don't want that. Okay, let's take a look around on the ground here and see what we have. And there, that tiny little red dot is our first purple heart seed. So these, you gotta look really hard to find them. They are absolutely tiny compared to most tree seeds. I mean, look how much easier it is to spot the kapok seed, partly because it isn't flat, but also because it's like twice the size. So when you're taking down a purple heart tree, make sure that you really scour and scavenge the ground around. And also in the fern trees, they may end up falling on top of the fern tree fronds here, and you want to make sure that you jump on all of them if you can to pick up any seeds that might have dropped there. Okay, well I'm going to go ahead and take down this kapok tree, and then I'm going to finish defoliating the purple heart. And in fact, it looks like there are 2, one right there and one right there. So I'll defoliate both of them, take them down, and if possible, I will replant their seeds here, just because I don't want to deforest the entire jungle, especially when it's so close and so visible from our home. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to get to it. Let's take this down from here. There we go. And these are pretty generous as far as logs go as well, but they're not generous as far as firewood goes, and you'll see that in a little bit. I am going to replant this seed, even though we only got the 1. You know, we'll plant you here, why not? And I am going to get to work here. There's 3 purple heart trees all in a row. Or all in a square. I'm probably going to just take down the 2 of them over here. Wish me luck. Okay, everyone. Those trees are down. I'm just sort of running around to make sure I didn't miss any of the seeds. And in just a second, we will pause to see just how many seeds we got from those 2 enormous purple heart trees. Okay, I think I got them all. Let's see. Ready? 3, 2, 1. We got 2. So we can replant these trees, but we do not have enough to plant any more. Let's go ahead and plant you there, and plant you. We'll do sort of 1 off there. We did manage to get 2 more kapok seeds from clipping like 5 more leaf blocks from the kapoks. So that should give you a pretty good idea of just how rare these purple heart seeds are. But we did get almost 3 stacks of purple heart logs, and we have 4 stacks of kapok logs waiting for us back on the cliffs. Now, while we're here in the jungle, let's talk about the other odds and ends you can find in the jungle. We've already talked about fern trees, and we've now talked about the kapok and the floating vines, neat, and the purple heart. We also did come across some crotons on our way down here, but we hadn't come across, or at least I didn't spot myself, any of these sort of red to green crotons. These crotons come in a lot of different colors. So you'll see that over here we have this sort of red to dark green, gold, crimson, but over here we have a very vibrant one that is crimson orange with a sort of bit of green at the top. And each croton has its name, or its colors, included in the name. What are you over here? Here's another shorty, but a crimson green one. This one has crimson on top and green on the bottom. So they are a very cool, bright, lively decoration to have that you can gather from the jungle. Now they are not renewable. You cannot breed them, you cannot make more, just like regular flowers anywhere else. They are, unfortunately, however many there are in the world, are as many as you'll ever get. And I do, over here, hear some bees. It's probably hard to tell from the YouTube audio, I do hear some bees. But I've already marked some. Hello, pig. I've already marked some pretty close by over here. I'm on the lookout for something else now, called a Rafflesia flower. These, I think, are the stink pot plant. Basically, they have these big, wide flowers that are very stinky to humans, but they attract their preferred pollinators. They are a neat little addition to the jungle flora, if we can find them. I'm not seeing any. They do come in two colors. They have brown and red. And if we spot one, I will pause to point it out. But here we go, on the topic of Crotons again. Here are some that have no red. These are green-orange. So you can really use these to get a whole bunch of different colors to splash around your builds for some variety. And I'm sure that as we expand our little artificial jungle, we will come back and ransack this place for some of the Crotons and other colorful things here. Whoa. What are you... You've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. We just stumbled across this? That is nuts. Alright. Wow. We just found some white marble rock in this jungle. Just sitting here, waiting for us to notice it. Look at that. That is cool. We have some wild cave going on here. That's a cool find. We didn't find any of this up north. We did find plenty of pink marble. But this is a neat find. And I like how it's not just white, it's kind of white blue or white aqua. So we'll come back here at some point. I'm going to mark this. I do hear some growly boys. Not sure where they're coming from though. Maybe deeper in that cave down there. Regardless, that is a shocking find. Not something that I expected to find in the jungle, but there you have it. Now, rather than marble, I want to look out for, like I mentioned, those Rafflesia flowers, but also would like to find at least one more pineapple plant. Now, as for the bees that I had found previously, they are very easy to spot in a hive right there. And they are backed right up to the little mountain that I almost settled in. You can see it here. We have another tree. Nice. But here is the mountain where I almost settled. But the mountains themselves are kind of knife-like and they're very thin. And I wanted to be able to sort of dig into the rock a bit. So these ended up not being quite the place for us. But we are settled just across the bay there, so no big deal. Well, I didn't find any Rafflesia, and I didn't find any more pineapples here so far. So I'm going to go back to the water's edge over there, and we're going to collect some of the other resource that I spotted. We spotted some bamboo over here. I'm not sure if that was on camera. Ooh, hey. Seashell, I got some inventory space for that. Yeah, there you are. There's a little bamboo stand right here. And this isn't a ton, but I'm not really looking to build with it, but I do want to propagate it. So I might bring some back and just start planting it. And I haven't been through this side. Oh, heavy temporal storm. Great. So here we go. We have some bamboo. And I didn't go through here and look for pineapples yet, but I might just leave that for now. Hey, more bamboo. Nice. I'm probably going to just dig a hole and hide in it for this temporal storm. Hey, here we go, some more pineapples. At least the plants. I wouldn't mind having a fully grown one, but seeds will do. Seed singular, apparently, will do. But I did want to find an adult one, or a fully mature pineapple, insofar as there are adult pineapples and child pineapples, because in the last episode, actually 2 episodes ago, when we were gathering pineapples on our way here, I noticed as I was going through the footage that we didn't always get a pineapple from a mature wild plant. And I reported that as a bug. I don't know if it's been replied to yet. I haven't really checked. But I do think it is something of a bug where you don't always get a pineapple from the mature wild plant. And I'm hoping that that bug doesn't affect our crops too. Because waiting for about half a year for pineapples to grow and then getting none would be really frustrating. Okay, well I did not spy anything else in that jungle, so we're going to go ahead and take down this bamboo. I don't know if you can still get saplings from the leaves or not, but I intend to find out. So I'm going to take down as many leaves as we can, and then see if we get any saplings. Oh hey, we do. Okay, that's good to know. So we can propagate these through saplings, although I don't think they really generate a whole ton of them per stalk that you plant. So they might not be sustainable that way. I'm pretty sure that you can pick up the bamboo shoots and replant those, and they will grow into further plants. And it looks like they may have resolved some of the issues where chopping down a single bamboo stalk would bring down an entire forest and your computer at the same time. It used to be kind of dangerous to chop these when they were in any semblance of proximity to each other. So these bamboo shoots you can pick up, and when you plant them, they will eventually grow into bamboo. I don't know if the naturally spawned ones grow on their own into bamboo, or if they are just sort of decorative until you collect them. But you can also put them into your crafting grid, I think with a knife, and get edible shoots, which we might need to do here because we're about to start starving. I'm going to grab this and hightail it back home and dig a little hole and try to survive the temporal storm. So I'll bring y'all back when we are back on the trail and moving on to our next task. Although actually, I think I'll just bring you back when we are back at home after the storm is over, because we have a few things to look at now that we have some new wood types that we want to cover before we head back out. So I will see you all then, and wish me luck. I might need it. Okay, well we are starving and on the way home. Check it out, we have found our first sun bear. This is a female sun bear, looks like an adult. And I'm guessing by the way that she's running from me that they are not necessarily aggressive. Maybe they are when they have cubs. But that's interesting. That explains why I found that pig in the water earlier. I think it was running from that bear. Interesting. Alright, I'm gonna get home and get this kazoo out of my face. Okay. Good morning, everyone. We are back from the temporal storm, where I existed in a tiny hole with a few stones on the ground, and our food finally ran out. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make, I guess we'll just do that for now. And let's go ahead and light you. It's going to be kind of light eating, but I think we'll do a bit of hunting while we're out. And at least for now, we won't have to worry about our food spoiling anymore, because it's already spoiled. And as I was on the way back from my little hole in the ground, I did pick up one more piece of flax from a surface drifter. So that means we now have enough to make a piece of flax twine, and ergo, we can make a bucket. There we go, wooden bucket, and that will come with us momentarily, so that we can better irrigate our farmland, although it is, of course, almost always raining here. But while we're here and waiting for our food to cook, which I realize I could babysit, but you know what, we have plenty of logs, let's take a look at our new kapok and purple heart logs and wood. So as you'll see, we have some new and interesting wood types to play with. And the kapok is, like I said, a sort of yellowy kind of oak color. And the purple heart is, well, it's purple. It's kind of in the name. Now, when we take an axe to these, with the kapok, you'll only get 3 firewood out of them, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. And the same is true for the purple heart. And again, it might be a game balance thing in terms of trying to dissuade the player from making firewood out of, you know, exotic woods, or it could be something more like, you know, in real life, if there are fewer BTUs in these kinds of wood, then I know the developers are doing a really good job of making systems in the game realistic, so it could represent that. However, when you take a saw to them, which I just put away, and cut them into boards, you do get the same 12 boards that you get normally. I hear someone behind me. Hello. Excuse you. Weird. As I was saying, you can stack them on the ground as normal, and you get a pretty good preview of their color, like so, but they can be turned into all of the normal building blocks as other wood types, and you'll see the purple heart is particularly vibrant. So I do plan on using some purple heart, and we will probably end up using some kapok, maybe some flooring would be nice kapok, or some tables, but kapok is a nice neutral color. And then we have this crazy stuff, and I love this color. This is a great color, especially when mixed in with some of the other interesting exotic wood colors like ebony and acacia, and then some fun stone colors, which we'll get to later. Anyway, we now have our pot of food ready to roll, so we're going to put these away, and now that we have explored the jungle, it is time to go and explore the savannah and find out what kinds of goodies the savannah has for us. So let's get our hiking boots on, leave our saw there. Do we have our shears? We do. Excellent, and we have our food. Great, let's roll. Before we do leave though, I want to check on our farms, make sure we haven't gotten any accidental rabbits in, and just to see how much our crops have grown. They have grown somewhat. Oh, we do need to take care of this tall grass before we do get rabbits spawning here. So they are growing ever so slowly. They are 2/9 of the way to being grown, or in the case of our, what are you, cassava, still on 1 out of 9. Okay. Well, good thing we're going to go hunting today. So the savannah we're going to is basically a straight shot south. So I'm just going to head down there, and I'll meet up with you once we arrive. I came across a spot right here that had a bit of food, and the first thing was, it was over here, wasn't it? Is that I have found some spelt. So we're taking this, and spelt is not specifically a southern crop, unfortunately, but it does grow in up to 40-degree heat, and I think around here it's going to be probably capping out around, I don't know, 35, 37. So that could be a good crop for us to grow. But more importantly, and more for the immediate future, I found some bearded tooth mushrooms, and I believe, yes, these are edible, and they will last for 17 days in our inventory. And since we are out of other vegetables, we're going to go ahead and collect these. And this will serve us well to keep us alive. Oh, a tapirs liver, a different kind of mushroom. Also edible, looks like. And now let's head south beyond the rifts, and we're going to check out what is down here among the hyenas. Hello. Yeah, get out of here. You too. Since we are out here in the open, I am going to make us a quick bed and a very quick shelter. We're going to pass the night, and I'll bring you all back in the morning so that we can continue our little misadventure. Okay, so let's get to taking down some of these acacia leaves and their respective trunks, and we're going to get a few seeds. I will replant these, although from these tiny trees I may not get as many seeds as I'm hoping for. We'll just see. Well, I'm going to start on this tree, and then I'll take the wood down, and then we'll move on to one or two of these ebony trees. Did I just see a drifter again? No. Okay. Probably down here somewhere, due to this hole. You guys down here? Oh, there's a tree down there. Nifty. Anyway, I will meet you on the other side of this trim job here, and we'll talk about how to propagate, or hope you can propagate, ebony trees. Okay, so I'm hearing these groans, and there was a drifter that just came up and smacked me. There's some more over there. Where are they? Here's a hole here. Looks like there's a bit of a crevice. No, you're just sand. Where are you coming from? Hello, buddy. Oh, get out of here. More hyenas. More cassava. Pause to get some cassava in a moment. As you'll see, I just skipped by. Right here, we got 4 acacia seeds from that one tree. So, acacias are, like I said, very prolific. And I do want to see if they're coming from down here. Oh, here we go. Here's something. Yeah, big cave. Oh, short cave with, hey, a ruin. Cool. Cool. I wonder if there's anything below the floor here, though. Still hearing groans. Well, pretty basic single layer ruin, I guess. I'll come back for you at some point, maybe. But yeah, so as I was saying, the acacias are very prolific, and this one tree gave me at least 4 seeds. There might be more up there, but we're going to go ahead and take this guy down and replant the seeds. Boop. There we go. And I'll replant these guys too and take them down. Not necessarily in that order. And I think, yeah, 2 stacks of acacia should be okay for now. We'll start with that. And now let's focus on some of these beautiful trees. The ebony. Now here's a kind of small one. Oh, you're coming from here. Yeah, here is where you're all coming from. Okay. We'll work over here with these guys. That way we're not right on top of the drifter escapes. And just like with the purple heart trees, you do want to start from the outside when trimming and shearing your ebony trees. Now these are grown kind of like in the same shape as walnut trees, so they're very spread out. But once you get up into some of the deeper branches, you can occasionally just sort of parkour your way around the tree. You don't fall like I almost did. And that way you don't have to spend so much time taking ladders down and putting them up and all that stuff. But you'll see that they're formed largely like walnut trees. And they do kind of have holes in them, so it is kind of easy to accidentally sort of carve out areas where you're just sort of losing leaves. And I will keep trimming until we find a seed, and we will take a look at what their seeds look like. So here we go. We are now able to just sort of parkour around the tree and work a bit from the top and just try to come at the tree from all angles so you're coming from the outside at all times. And that will really help, hopefully, get us some seeds. Okay, let's go check the ground for seeds. I really hope we got at least one. I'm not too terribly hopeful. I don't see any. Oh, we got one. Okay. Must have happened when I wasn't paying attention. So ebony seeds are kind of like the other seeds. They're kind of small, but they're a bit easier to notice, I think. As long as you are not looking through like super tall grass. Like tall grass like this is okay. But they are easier to spot. And just as rare as the seeds you get from purple hearts, unfortunately. Let's go ahead and we're going to take this tree down. And you'll see that we get a ton of logs. An absolute ton of logs. In fact, I'm not sure we'll be able to carry them all, honestly. Yep, there we go. Big, old, huge dump of logs. Hey, another seed. Nice. And we're out of space. Just like that. Okay, well, I'm going to actually replant this one over here a bit farther away so that if it grows up to be a big tree again, it won't run into this one. I'm going to grab my ladders, try to make some more of them to use up some of these sticks. And I guess I'll put down our basket. No, get out of here. And see if we can fit anything else in the basket or not. Nope, you are full. You are very full. Tell you what, we're going to eat you. And then we will tuck you in there. And we might just chuck the hay bed. I'm not sure yet. Okay, there we go. We actually have a spare ebony seed, so I'm going to bring that back with us. But I don't think we want to grow it too close to home. Having a spare seed is really nice, because that can get us started on actually getting more of these. And now, let's go run this home, because we are way too full to keep going. And before we investigate these new wood types and what they look like in terms of logs and planks, I do want to come back here and we're going to take a look at the last couple things that we didn't really touch on as much in the savannah. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll meet you all right back here in just a minute. But on the way back, we are going to pay a visit to this fellow. Hello, Innes, the treasure hunter trader. I'm sure we will be back to visit you. And we need cracked vessels in order to trade to commodities traders. Nice to meet you. We have passed the night, and I am headed back. And it has been medium for like the last 2 days. It was apocalyptic, then high, then medium, and I am wondering if we'll ever see a calm day again at this point. But one of the things that savannas are particularly good for in the south is finding crops. Because for some reason, while I do see a lot of this sort of green, kind of subtropical stuff, I don't really find many crops there, at least not crops that will actually grow much of the year down south. We might find some turnips, and we did find some over there, as well as some spelt. And spelt will grow relatively happily around here, but the turnips would just die except for maybe in the dead of winter, because it is now 24 degrees, though it is relatively early in the morning. So I wouldn't expect the turnips to be able to survive until December or January, and even then, only for a very short season. But while we were out here, I noticed that there were a lot of crops around, and that's because savannas, I think, partly due to their shorter grass, which makes things more visible. You know, I think I will pick up this meat again. Yeah, why not? Turn you into some fertilizer later. But I think partly due to their lack of grass and their sort of dull color, it's easier to spot crops in the savannas. So right over here, we have a ladder. I'm going to throw down there. And I'm going to grab these soybean seeds and these soybeans. We got 1 soybean. Oh, wow. How generous. But I'm going to go around here and we're going to pick up all these crops that are just waiting for us in the savannah. And you'll see, like over here, nothing. Crotons. That might be rice way off in the distance there. And we'll check over in there to see if there are any pineapples, but I don't really have too high hopes for that. But right over here, we have more soybeans. Look at all these mature soybeans. I'm getting a lot of seeds, and 1 soybean each, 2. I really think the devs really turned down the amount of actual produce you get from wild crops. And we have some more amaranth up here. And you know, I think I'll just get the fully grown amaranth. Okay, that's a little low, not gonna lie. It's a little low. You are a pomegranate tree. I thought you were an olive tree. Interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna just sort of run around here for maybe 5-10 minutes and pick up all the crops, and I'll just show you what we got, so that when you are looking for food in the early game and you're in the south, you'll know to go to the savannah. And while we're here, something that we touched on a couple episodes ago were these termite mounds, and I had thought that you could put a stick into them to get termites out, but that is not true. Instead, you break them, get some grubs, and you can snack on them like they are peanuts, but they don't give you much in the way of nutrition, and they don't last very long, so I don't really recommend them unless you're starving, and like really badly starving. So, just FYI, because these mounds do not come back once you break them. Okay, we are now done with that grocery run. So before we head back and take a look at what all we have at home to look at, which is the ebony and the acacia wood, let's see what we got. Now mind you, I focused pretty much just on the crops that would actually drop food, the mature crops. So we got 14 amaranth grain, we got 8 soybeans, we got 12 raw cassava, we got a couple flax grain, there weren't many flax plants there, and we got almost 2 stacks of raw bushmeat. And I might cook some of this and just chuck it away in a vessel somewhere, because that is a lot of raw meat. But I also might just let it turn into compost. I also did find over here a bit of terra preta, and I just went sort of down, shoop, down here and up, back up, and that was all I explored. Didn't go any farther than that. And I did mark some fruit trees for coming back to later. And yeah, although crops are not as plentiful as they used to be, they are a great way of just shoring up your food for the short term. So you don't have to focus on getting seeds if you already have seeds, but if you're hungry, just go hunting the mature plants. Okay everyone, we are home, and let's go and take a look in the last chest behind me there, and pull out some ebony and acacia logs. So we have acacia and ebony, and these make very fine logs on their own. If I'm building a structure that has like a stone wall but wooden supports, I do really like the acacia because it's such a nice vibrant red even on the outside, and that's before we cut it up. But it makes for a great contrast to like a gray or a dark wall. The ebony logs, I think, have their place as support beams as well, although due to the rarity of the tree and how striking the end grain is, it can be more difficult to use than a sort of tamer looking log, like let's say walnut or oak. But if you don't have any oak, we don't have much around here at the moment, this is a great one. So now let's go ahead and cut these up. We get 12 boards from you and 12 boards from you. And these boards, when stacked, very much like this and like this. And look how bright red this acacia is. It's even brighter than when you look at the end grain on the log. And I don't know if that's intentional or if it's more of a real thing where looking at the end grain is not as vibrant and the sort of, base of the wood is. I don't really know. But we can turn these into, again, the same kinds of stuff you can make with every other wood. I'll just make some wood planks for now. And we get these wonderful blocks. So these sort of complete the wooden color palette I want to work with while we're down here. I'm going to pull these guys out so we can line them all up. And let's just do that for now. You know what we'll do? You, and then we'll do you. There we go. So these complete the wooden part of the color palette that I want to use while we're down here. And we have this sort of nice neutral oak, almost, from the kapok. We have the vibrant purple heart. We have the bright red acacia, and then we have this sort of deep striped or variegated ebony with the blacks, and then this sort of reddish sort of copper that's sort of a cross between pine and acacia. I think these will all look really nice when we get to add them to our builds. The last kind of wood that we should touch on, which isn't quite wood, are these bamboo pieces, which can, just like I showed back in our home, can be turned into sort of bamboo stacks, and they'll be placed either horizontally if you aim at the side of a block, and vertically if you aim at the top or bottom of a block. And these are kind of nice because you can take a chisel and just sort of pop out some of these, and they make like a really nice looking sort of screen texture, especially if you're going for like a wicker screen. So if you're making an Eastern, say Indian or Thai inspired build, you can get this sort of wicker screens. The other thing you can use bamboo for is as a roofing type, and I probably won't get into much of this because it doesn't quite fit the style I'm going for, but you can make bamboo roofing, and it does look pretty good on structures that are designed to work with it. Hello, Z Fighting. It keeps sort of the end grain screen structure right here, and then you have the bundle texture on top like this. Well everyone, that is about all you have time for in this episode of the Vintage Story Guide. I hope you enjoyed our sort of two-part exploration of what the jungle and savanna have to offer. And I hope you're looking forward to incorporating these woods and other materials into our future builds here in the South. If you have any AMA questions that I can answer in a video like this one, drop them in a comment with the hashtag 20questions. Support and social links, including the Discord invite link, are in the description of the video. As always, my name has been Corazar. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.